City Ordinance 2008-04-004 deals with federal immigration laws. And action taken by the St. George City Council in 2008 requires public contractors and subcontractors working for the city to verify employment eligibility of their workers. Basically, I believe it states that only citizen workers or eligible workers can be used on St. George City projects or face possible penalty of loss of contract. Before I ask the final question, I went over and asked Philip Peterson if I could see a request for a draw on a project, and if there was a statement there. He says, Jerry, we have one, but there's also tons of other forms that need to be filled out when there's a request for draw. Maybe it's a federal requirement, maybe it's a federal job, but this is mainly for city projects. Now, is this working? Now, I know I have a small, little, tiny business, and I know I sign it every year, and I sign that I don't have any illegal people working for me except for Jeannie, okay? But I cleared her a long time ago. But anyway, Mayor, it's a serious question, obviously, and there's a lot of people interested in this. So is this working? Is the city following through and making sure that this policy of only legal people are working on a St. George construction project?
It's simple, yes, the city is doing that. They're required before every pay request. Also, the state put in anybody over 15 employees have to e-verify. There's no penalty on that. I wish they had a penalty, and I wish everybody had to play by the same rules. I do it. I e-verified somebody today that's working that we just hired in my thing, and you know, it says in American, yeah, I got the 2 forms of ID, and I put it in there, and immediately it approved him. And I did one last week because I had to hire another one because my business has been expanding, building some trampolines that we're building all over the country, and it proved them that quick. So I don't think it's a hard thing for us to do, and I encourage people to do it. But I want everybody to play by the same rules. It says on our business license that we encourage people to e-verify their business, and that basically they sign that they're following the rules of the United States of America. And I think that everybody ought to be able to do that. And I hope the state and the federal government is talking about that. If they put that out there, that everybody plays by the same rules, I think that's what it ought to be. And I think that's a good program. The city is doing it, and it's working for the city.
As an aside, these folks sign this, the pay requests are proper, the contracts are proper, everything else, and I don't know, this is a question, is the city staff to check that out or monitor it, or is the city reactive rather than proactive on these kinds of issues?
Now, I can't tell you how far they investigate into knowing that that's the case. They do verify that they have an e-verify number, and they can check the company. I mean, if you want to know if I e-verify people, then you can check and see if I do that. I can't tell you some of the stuff. Obviously, if I was hiring somebody in my business, when I e-verify and I've hired them, I can't fire them or let them go until they let me do it. There's some funny laws out there that the federal government and others have got to go through, but the city's doing it. It's on there. The contractors find it. If we find somebody, they can't even bid with the city anymore.
Good. Okay. And with the construction and the developers and everything getting a little better business-wise, why this might become a problem like it was a few years ago. We hope not. Ed, go ahead.
It is something that we need to be concerned with right now because, as you mentioned earlier, the growth rate is starting to increase again. We're 4% and we're growing. Everywhere you go, they're building in this community. So we're building. The last time we had that big surge, when we got up in 2005, we had a lot of illegal immigrants or those who were here that shouldn't have been here taking jobs. And it was just open. Now, what I'm hearing on this discussion reminds me of President Reagan, a verification. You know, you sign something and you say, yes, I've signed it, I got the employees, but who verifies it? Is there a random check or random follow-up to make sure that these things are being adhered to? And it's really important. Our federal government has failed us in immigration issues. The city has to take a strong position. We have to stand tall on those issues. And I think that that's part of what this is about. And so I think that if we need to, and here again, we have to again determine on our priorities what the cost factor is going to be, but we need to have some employees that are double checking that, yeah, the guy signs it, he's doing it, but is he doing it? So we need to have a little bit of follow-up, and I would suggest that there's some room for improvement on that. We don't want to return to being a sanctuary city again, and that's what frightens a lot of us.
Thank you, Ed.